Welcome, time for some art fun. Today, I'm going to take you on a trip with me to Santa Fe, so stick around. First things first, I wanted to find a spot to paint. I could not wait to get my materials out and really be part of the Santa Fe art scene by doing my own plein air painting. So I found a good spot. These are my hotel paintings from last night. I set up a hotel art studio, makeshift art studio, and I used my gouache travel palette to make these three little scenes of things that I saw on our drive down here to Santa Fe. I originally wanted to paint this house, but I needed to get a different spot that worked better for my camera. And so this is where I ended up. So first things first, I did a pencil sketch of this really pretty building, and then I inked it, and then I used my watercolor. So that's what you're going to see me doing. It was such a beautiful day, and while I was doing this plein air painting, my husband went for a run around downtown Santa Fe so that we could both have a lot of fun. And he came back and reported what he had seen, and it just sounds like such a beautiful area. And so after I was done, we went for a walk, which I'll also show you some footage of. I was right on the 1 or 2 blocks away outskirts of the central downtown area. And this is what my pencil sketch looked like. And now I'm going to ink it with my Micron pen. And so when we were done with this plein air painting and he was done with his run, we went for a walk around the art area. And I was overwhelmed with how many galleries there were. There were so many art galleries. It is crazy. Like, I'm from New York originally, and I've never seen this many art galleries in a row. It's amazing. So it does feel like you're part of the community when you're sitting there painting or drawing or doing whatever you want to do. It doesn't feel like people are staring at you and you're weird. You feel like it's the normal thing to do, if that makes sense, which is very different from other places that I've done any plein air painting or drawing. I was sitting on a little bench right off to the side of a walking trail, and there were people going by left and right with their dogs or just talking on the phone, and no one seemed to give me a second glance. No one stood behind me and stared. No one made me feel uncomfortable. And so even when I took my watercolor palette out and it was clear that I was painting and not necessarily journaling, because people might have thought I was just writing in my journal when it was just a pen that I was using, but once I had a watercolor palette out and a water brush, it was pretty clear what I was doing. And still nobody cared. No one, did anything, said anything, came up behind me, or even anything positive or negative. It was literally so normal that it was almost like they didn't notice. Now, this building that I'm painting, it looked like a residence to me. And a lot of the residences and some of the commercial buildings do this thing in Santa Fe where they hang these beautiful bunches of red peppers as decoration. Obviously, it's actual food, it's edible, and you cook with them, but they're so pretty that they make a beautiful decoration. And so this house had 2 of them hanging in between the columns, holding up this little sitting area in the front. And I actually don't even know where you park or how you get into this house. I don't think it's right here in the front, but it's just such a beautiful building with such gorgeous architecture. It was just a total pleasure to sit there and look at it and try to capture it in my sketchbook. I left the trees to do later, but that's the house right there that I was painting. It's very hard to show you in this footage that that's what it actually looked like from where I was sitting. But I really love how it came out. I'll show you the final product here after I filled in the trees and some of the branches in the bottom. The next move was to go to an art supply store. And this store, Artisan, is a place that Georgia O'Keeffe actually used to shop. It is enormous. I've only seen one other art store that was as big, and I just couldn't believe it. These pens are so beautiful. I had to get a couple of these. I just never seen the Shadow series, I guess is what it's called. But my husband let out a squeak at some point, like a terrified squeak, and I realized there was a pet python that is stored in this building. So he was like, "What is happening?" He took pictures and sent it to everyone he knows. So if you do go there and you don't like bugs or moths or anything, steer clear, because it is all over the place in that building. It's so funny. I guess the owner is just a little quirky. Look at this picture of the inside of this store from above. It's insanely huge. And that's only the main part. It doesn't even have all those aisles and aisles of sketchbooks and paper and canvas. And oh, it was so cool. So they have these for free at the front. It's just Georgia O'Keeffe's check that she wrote to them for art supplies that she bought there. I got this beautiful fluid watercolor paper. It is a block. It's 8 by 8, 300 GSM, and it's hot press paper, and it is so smooth. So I'm really excited to use that with my watercolors. I have used that brand before, but only cold press. And then I saw this really cool sketchbook. I didn't have any GSM information or even how many pages are in here. It's not an American brand sketchbook. It's the writing is mostly in another language that I can't read. But I opened it in the store and saw it says watercolor paper, and then I saw the paper itself and touched it, and it just looked like the coolest watercolor pad to use for my plein air paintings for the rest of this trip. It is about the same size as my sketchbook I'm currently using. It's an A5. It has a lot of pages. They're all really beautiful watercolor pages. Here's the book that I'm currently using for this trip, but it's not watercolor paper. So it's just actually a little bit slightly smaller because of the ring binding. But I thought it would be great because of the hard back, and I can fold it over and just have that in my lap. So I love that. Then I got two of those beautiful Jelly Roll pens that I showed you in the little video in the art store. These, the caps are not going to translate how cool these colors are, but when I show you the writing sample, holy smokes, it is so beautiful. I put the writing sample in this little Frida Kahlo art journal that I got on the way to Santa Fe. Look at the shine. I mean, these are beautiful. They also have a little bit of a color shift. I don't know if it's coming across for you, but they are gorgeous, and they write over black perfectly. So they'll be beautiful on black paper too. Finally, while in this art store, I could not resist. They had a really good deal on my favorite acrylic gouache. It's this Holbein acrylic gouache, permanent gouache. I got this beautiful turquoise blue. I got ash yellow. I have ash green and ash blue already, and this yellow just looked perfect for some of the things I'm seeing out here. I got burnt sienna. Again, this color palette is very of the place I am right now. And then Naples yellow, which is actually my favorite yellow. So I love this palette. I'm going to play with it in the little makeshift art studio in the hotel later, but this is my art haul, including my Frida Kahlo from the last haul that I did, 2-minute haul on my way in. I could not wait to test this paper, and it did not buckle, like it didn't curl. I did not pin it down. I didn't tape it down, and it didn't bend or anything. I mean, it took the watercolor so beautifully. This is probably the thing that I'm most excited about from this whole experience is this sketchbook, because this paper is beautiful. This cold pressed paper really shows my watercolors off to the best effect, and it just did everything really well. Obviously, it does affect the paper. You can see how it sort of has the paper move, but the overall piece of paper doesn't curl. Like, that blew my mind. So this is my art haul from the Artisan Art Supply store. And then I also have my water cup, my Faber-Castell water cup, and my beautiful Frida Kahlo sketchbook journal that I got at a used art store in Trinidad, Colorado on my way to Santa Fe. Then we walked around. I could not believe how beautiful the architecture is. I was surprised by the size of Santa Fe. It feels very small, very charming, everything's around a twist and a turn. You don't know what's coming next, and then you go around the turn and it's this beautiful cobblestone street with insanely gorgeous houses. There aren't big tall buildings. You don't have any skyscrapers or anything like that. It's all stuff like this, just like beautiful foliage. It's spring right now, and we have these beautiful blooming trees, gorgeous architecture. And then we got to the art galleries, and I was just blown away. There was just one after another after another. Here's another one. These little hidden gardens, just every little piece of architecture, every little ornament, there's something to see everywhere you look. And then with this gorgeous background of mountains in the back, it's just insane. There are those hanging chilies for decor that I was talking about. This is just an example. There were all of these sorts of ivy covered trees, and everything is just stunning. This was probably my favorite gallery because this artist that they featured in the front was so my style. Like, that's a fuzzy owl. So we made sure to get her information right here if you want to look her up. I was very impressed with her art. This is just the coolest. I mean, there's outdoor sculpture everywhere you look. You know you're in Santa Fe. What I kept telling my husband was, it's so cool that you can be somewhere and maybe the mountains or the trees look similar to the mountains and the trees where you live, but you know you're not where you live. This is so distinctly Santa Fe. So I really loved it. I had a grand old time. We will definitely be visiting again at some point. And I actually still have a couple of days left, but I'm not going to film anymore. I just wanted to show you what I had done the first day or two and then put my phone and my camera away. So enjoy, leave me some comments, and remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, remember, create something cute.